Welcome back, everyone. We're diving deep today into the world of qualitative data analysis. Specifically, we're looking at NVivo.
NVivo?
Yeah, we've got some excerpts from chapter 2 of a book all about it. And I think our mission here is to kind of get people feeling good about setting up and structuring their own NVivo project.
All right.
If you've ever, felt like you're drowning in a sea of interview transcripts or, all those field notes,
Yeah,
this is the deep dive for you.
it's so true. I think the book really nails it when it says that, like, the big challenge with qualitative data isn't collecting it.
Right.
It's what you do with it all. It's making sense of it. And that's where NVivo comes in.
Oh, absolutely. It's a bringing order to that chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely remember my early research days. I was like just drowning in printed transcripts and highlighters,
Oh, yeah.
every color you could imagine. It was,
Been there.
yeah, a total mess. But, NVivo isn't just about pushing a magic analyze button, right?
Right. Right. The book makes it very clear. NVivo is a tool.
Yeah,
And, just like any tool, it needs a skilled hand using it, guiding it.
I like that.
Yeah, you think about it like, almost like a really high-powered microscope. It can show you incredible detail,
Oh, yeah.
but you need to know, like, what to do with it, how to focus it, how to prepare the slides, all that. Even, like, how to interpret what you're seeing.
Totally. So planning is key here, right?
Yes.
We can't just dump everything into NVivo and hope for the best.
No, definitely not. The book really stresses the importance of starting with clear research questions.
Right.
Those questions are going to be your compass. They'll guide your analysis.
Yeah.
Without them, you're kind of wandering around in the data.
Totally lost. Yeah. But research is rarely linear. Like, what if my questions kind of evolved as I go deeper? Would a rigid structure in NVivo, would that become a problem?
That's a great point. And, the book, it acknowledges that. NVivo is actually surprisingly flexible.
Okay.
It's more like think of it as a dynamic roadmap,
Okay. Yeah.
You can take detours as you go, discover new things.
That's reassuring.
Yeah.
Now, I'm curious about what kind of data we can actually put into NVivo.
Okay.
The source material mentions like text, media files, even whole data sets.
It can handle it. It's like,
Wow.
I don't know, like a master chef or something. It can work with all kinds of ingredients.
I like that.
Interview transcripts, audio, video, even social media posts.
Okay.
It can import all of that. But, just like cooking, preparation is key.
Right. So there's more to it than just dragging and dropping.
Oh, for sure. Think of it like this. You wouldn't just throw all the ingredients in a bowl to bake a cake, right?
No way.
No measuring, no prep, disaster. So you got to format your data before you bring it in. It's like building a house. You need a good foundation.
Yeah, makes sense. Can you give me a specific example? Like, I'm all about practical tips.
Okay. Let's say you are working with focus group transcripts. You got to label each speaker clearly, consistently. Otherwise, it's a mess.
Yeah.
You won't know who said what. NVivo can even actually code the speakers automatically based on the labels.
Oh, wow. That saves a ton of time.
Tons of time.
Especially when you have like multiple groups and people are overlapping. And
Absolutely.
now, I gotta admit, this whole folders, sets, cases thing in NVivo, it always kind of throws me off.
Oh, yeah, that could be a bit confusing.
Can you help me untangle that a little bit?
Okay, so picture this. NVivo is your virtual research lab. All your data, that's the specimens you're studying.
All right, I like it.
So folders, those are like your basic storage cabinets.
Okay.
Good for broad categories. Now, sets, those are more like curated collections. You can group things based on certain criteria, like maybe all the interviews from a specific time period.
I see, yeah.
It doesn't matter which cabinet they're in.
Okay, that makes sense. But what about cases? Those always seem a little mysterious.
Cases are where things get interesting. Think of them as dedicated workbenches.
Workbenches.
Yeah, like for each individual, each organization, even an abstract concept you're studying.
Okay.
It's a way to bring together all the data related to that specific case. You build up a whole profile.
So instead of having all these bits of information scattered, a case is like a central hub.
Exactly.
Like I could see everything related to, let's say, a specific participant.
Precisely. You could have their interview transcripts, field notes, survey responses,
Yeah.
even photos or videos, all in one place.
Wow.
You get a much deeper, more nuanced understanding that way.
That's incredibly powerful. It's like having a mini database for each person.
It is. And to make things even better, you can link demographic info to each case.
Okay.
Like, let's say you're studying how different age groups feel about climate change.
Right.
You could link age data and see if there are patterns.
This is starting to click. So data prepped, folders and sets organized, cases all set up.
Right.
What's next in our NVivo journey?
Now we get to the really fun part, the analysis.
Okay.
Remember those links we talked about between different bits of information?
Yes.
Those are going to help us uncover hidden connections,
Ooh, exciting.
extract some real insights from this data.
I'm ready. Let's do it. So I feel like we've, built our NVivo lab. We've gathered our specimens.
Right?
We even know how to use the fancy linking tools and see connections.
Yeah.
But now what? How do we go from just seeing the connections to actually analyzing the data, getting some answers to our research questions?
That's the exciting part. You can kind of think of NVivo like as a high-tech detective's toolkit, right?
Oh, okay. I like it.
So we've got our magnifying glass, those
Yeah.
links.
Yeah.
We have our evidence board, the cases. Now we got to start dusting for fingerprints, analyze the clues.
I'm loving this analogy. So what are some of those key techniques that NVivo gives us to crack the case?
Well, one of the, I think, most powerful ones is what's called querying.
Querying. Okay.
And it's, essentially it's like setting up a really specific search.
Okay.
But instead of just looking for keywords, you're actually using NVivo to search for those patterns, those connections, the relationships between different parts of your data.
So instead of just did anyone say the word technology in these interviews? I could be like, okay, the teachers who said they felt overwhelmed, did they also talk about a lack of support?
Exactly. You're asking NVivo to find those intersections between different ideas, between themes. You can even look at demographic characteristics.
Okay.
So you're not just reading linearly anymore. You're asking very targeted questions.
Right.
And you're letting NVivo do the work, the heavy lifting, to find the relevant information.
So efficient. It's like having a research assistant who can go through mountains of data and just pull out the exact pieces you need.
Exactly. Exactly. And what's great about NVivo is it doesn't just give you this massive list of results.
Okay. Yeah.
It actually lets you visualize those results in a way that makes sense,
Exactly.
something you can actually understand.
Oh, visualization is so key for me.
Oh, it is, right.
Like a chart or a diagram will just jump out, show me patterns that I might miss if I was just staring at lines of text.
Absolutely. And NVivo can generate all kinds of those visualizations.
Okay.
You can have charts, graphs, word clouds. You can even do maps.
Wow.
It just depends on the kind of data you have and the questions you're asking.
So if I was looking for some geographic patterns in, let's say, my teacher data, are the teachers in certain areas more likely to, report certain challenges? I could make a map that highlights those differences.
Exactly. Or let's say you're looking at how often, the frequency of certain themes, how they change over time.
Right.
You could do a line graph to show those trends.
It's you can actually, it just makes the data come alive. It tells a story that might be hidden otherwise.
Totally, totally. And speaking of stories, remember those memo links we talked about?
Yeah.
Those are really important for analysis.
Okay, the ones where we jot down our thoughts and interpretation as we're combing the data, analyzing it.
Yes. As you start querying and you see these interesting patterns, you can link those queries to specific memos where you've, captured your insights.
Right, right.
Your reflections. It's like a really good audit trail.
Okay.
Super important for qualitative research.
It's almost like having a research journal, but it's right there in the data. That would be so helpful to keep track of, how my thinking is changing, make sure my interpretations are actually based on something solid.
Totally. And it also lets you go back and revisit those early ideas, right?
Yeah.
And see how your thinking maybe evolved as you dive deeper.
Right.
Sometimes our first assumptions are challenged, or maybe we find these unexpected connections that take us in a whole good direction.
Yeah.
NVivo can track all of that.
So it's not just about analyzing, it's about being reflective, going back and forth.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's a tool that makes you think critically and just constantly question things.
Exactly. One of the things that I find really exciting about NVivo is its potential for collaborative research.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
How does it do that?
Well, imagine you have a whole team, right? A whole team of researchers. They're all working on this project, and they're all coding different parts of the data.
Right.
NVivo lets you take all those individual projects and merge them into one big master project.
Oh, wow.
So you're bringing everything together.
So instead of having little pieces of analysis all over the place, you can actually get a unified understanding.
Exactly. And you can even assign different roles, permissions to the team members.
Okay.
So, everyone's got access to the right stuff, but you're still protecting the data,
Right.
keeping it safe.
That sounds incredibly helpful for like large projects. When you really need a lot of perspectives, you need people with different kinds of expertise.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's almost like a virtual lab. Everyone can contribute, work
I
together.
love that.
And because NVivo, it keeps track of all those coding decisions, all the choices everyone's making, it's really transparent. It keeps everyone accountable.
That's so important. It's like it really has thought of everything, huh?
Yeah, pretty much.
From the beginning, organizing the data to coding to querying it, making the visualizations, and then even collaboration. Wow.
It really is like a comprehensive toolkit for qualitative research.
It is, but I could imagine it being a little daunting at first, when you're just starting out.
Oh, for sure. But remember, NVivo is designed to make your life easier.
Right.
It's not about making things more complicated. It's just, you know, it helps you unlock that richness and complexity of qualitative data.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then you can get, deeper insights. You can do better research.
As we start to wrap up our deep dive, what's one piece of advice you would give to someone who's just starting with NVivo for the first time?
Hmm. I would say embrace the learning process.
Okay.
Don't be afraid to, play around with it, experiment, try out different features, even make some mistakes.
Right.
That's how you learn.
Yeah.
It's incredibly versatile. You're always going to find something new.
That's great advice. One thing that's really come through for me in this deep dive is that it's more than just a software, right?
Mhm.
It's like a way of thinking about qualitative data. It makes you be more systematic, more rigorous,
It does.
more reflective in how you approach your analysis.
It's about going beyond just, the surface level, really getting into those nuances.
All right, well, I think that brings us to the end of our NVivo adventure.
It does.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
It was great. It was a pleasure exploring all this with you.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
It was.
Until next time, keep those research questions coming, and remember, there's always a story waiting to be uncovered.
Always.